recording in progress, because I want to be able to capture something juicy in the event that I say something good. You never know what's going to happen. So we're just going to have a little Astro chat and chill today. Unfortunately, I don't have my like really cool setup because again, for some reason, my Twitch studio just like isn't loading, and it is 9 o'clock in the morning and I have not had a chance to like troubleshoot this yet. So no worries. We will just hang out Zoom style. You're familiar with this by now. And let's talk about what's going on today, friends. Let's see how I can maybe enlighten you and make things a little bit easier to deal with today. Just right. Sometimes the things that I'm going to say here are really exciting and really expansive and really fun. And I think that that was a lot of the theme yesterday, talking about the Venus and Pisces transit, which again, started last night. I've already been feeling it. I went to my 6 a.m. yoga class this morning and I had 3 separate conversations with people, not just like, hey, hi, how are you? But like talking about astrology, talking about like, I found out this woman who I, do yoga next to several times a week, that she's adopted, and she has this whole like very intense story. Like she has no idea even what her birth date is, let alone her birth time. And she said that she, from what she understands, from what like she, has been able to gather, that maybe she was born toward the end of Libra season, which I was thinking as she was talking, I'm like, wow, this is like big Scorpio energy. And if she was born theoretically at the end of Libra season, like she may have actually been born in Scorpio season, we don't know. Or if she was born in Libra season, she very well still could have Scorpio placements, meaning, like Mercury or Venus, because they're never too far away from wherever the sun is. And then also, housing placements have a lot to do with things like, I think a big part of the reason that I do the work that I do and that people feel so comfortable opening up to me, like this is a stranger at 5:45 in the morning telling me about how she like doesn't know where she's from, and she was like found at several months old, that she came over to the United States at 4 years old, and that's like pretty much all she knows. She's like telling me these like really deep, like personal, intimate details. It's that 8th house stellium, y'all. People just come. Like I have an energy that makes you feel comfortable being exposed. And I am comfortable being exposed. I don't feel like it really means, like I don't make it mean something about me to let myself be like emotionally vulnerable or emotionally honest. Like who fucking cares? We're all gonna die. 8th house energy, right? Which is of course the house of Scorpio. So anyway, just so interesting how people are opening up and people are feeling more willing to be like honest and vulnerable, because that's very much the Venus and Pisces energy. People want to connect, and people want to connect in that like below the surface, meaningful, spiritual kind of like, divine connection. That's the kind of shit people are looking for right now. And so I've already been seeing the effects of that this morning, which has been really nice. I hope that your first morning with Venus and Pisces has been just as lovely. However, what I will say is that last night I was definitely feeling the Mercury square Chiron of it all. So this is direct this morning. But as I mentioned yesterday, this transit, started coming into, started forming January 25th. It will fade out the end of January 28th. So, right, like by the time we come back here on Monday, this will be a thing of the past. But what I mean, Venus and Pisces and Mercury and Chiron, or Mercury square Chiron, with Mercury, of course, being in Capricorn, Chiron being in Aries. I mentioned this yesterday, like this could be a really great time to have the conversation that you've been wanting to have, the one that's been bothering you, the one that's been on your heart. If there's something that has been like really troubling you, this is a time where you may or may not even have like the control. It just sort of like comes out. I know last night, both me and my boyfriend at the same exact time, he's dealing with something, I'm dealing with something, and they're both work related. It's so interesting how that goes too, because we're both Gemini risings. So a lot of the way that things happen in the world, or right, like celestially or whatever, they'll happen for us like almost like a mirror, like in the same area of our lives. This is why I'm so like, I put so much emphasis on the rising sign, and why when I draw my horoscopes out, I don't usually, it's not usually for your sun sign. Like you can look at your sun sign, but I instruct you to like look for your rising sign, because yes, the sign, the sign itself, like where your placements are, have a meaning to them. But the house makes all the difference, because that shows you like in what area of your life can you anticipate this being the most like relevant, right? So when we're talking about this Mercury square Chiron transit, with Mercury being in Capricorn and Chiron being in Aries, for both of us, me and my boyfriend, because we're Gemini rising, that makes this like going between our 8th and 11th houses. And so with Venus in Pisces, we have this like 10th house energy that's going on, this emphasis over our like career and public image, our reputation, and like what we do professionally, what we do as like providers. This is really coming into focus for both of us, because it's happening over the same areas of our life. The placements inside of our charts, there are some differences. So it gets, of course, more nuanced and more specific as we like dive deeper into the details. But I digress, I guess. Last night, we're trying to go get dinner, and we're dealing with this, like he's getting a text message from someone that he's in real estate. And so there's like something going on with like an inspection and like a deal or something. And because at the same time, I'm also having someone message me over, like something that happened last year. Was just like a client who wanted to have a conversation about something. And it was like, both of us were dealing with these like really emotionally sensitive kind of, or not even emotionally sensitive, but like kind of out of the blue and like frustrating conversations, because both of us had felt that the issue that we were dealing with at the time had been resolved already, right? So both of us are like struggling, trying to like because we're in the car, right? So we're trying to like have a conversation with each other about like what it is that we want for dinner, or like what it is that we're going to do about dinner. He's trying to like not complain, but he's trying to like deal with this, and talk it out with what he's dealing with. And I'm like, I can't even deal with any of this right now, because I'm trying to deal with something. And that is such a Mercury square Chiron moment, right? That maybe something that you thought had already been resolved, like maybe you don't have anything, like a conversation that's been on your mind, on your heart, that you've been wanting to have. Maybe you're like peachy keen jelly bean and just like ready to embrace the Venus and Pisces energy of it all. But maybe someone else in your life has had a conversation, or something has been bothering them, and they may be just like gonna like so about that thing. Be open, right? Embrace the Venus and Pisces of it all. Have more compassion in your heart. Be willing to listen, right? And empathy. Like, I was talking to my sister about this last week, because I mean, I'm sure over time, like we will have plenty of conversations about like my family and like who Fani is as a person and like the history. But like my sister was over here the other day and she was talking about some of our other family members, and she had like just a rage. She was really angry. And I have like cut those people out of my life. I just, and not like, not in a, and this is, I guess, what I want to say is like, when we have boundaries, or when we feel like people are violating those boundaries, or like we have a standard for how people are going to treat us or how people are going to behave in our lives, we are the ones who are responsible for upholding that boundary. Like we are the ones who are responsible for saying something. However, that doesn't mean that like, okay, for example, my biological mother, she struggles with substance dependence, and she has for my entire life. There's so much wrapped up in that. And there are nobody like, she didn't just wake up one day and, you know what I think would be a really great life choice is like to be addicted to crack. Like that's not something that she chose. There are reasons, right? There is a pain inside of her. She hasn't learned coping mechanisms. There's so many reasons. Okay. That doesn't mean I have to accept her behavior or that I have to allow it in my life. But I'm going to try to have empathy for her. I'm going to try to you can have empathy and boundaries. You can have love in your heart for someone and also not have them in your life. I think that's a lot of the whole like energy that I get from Mercury squaring Chiron as well, is like when we're talking about the relationships that nourish us, or like the conversations that we want to have, the things that we want to be thinking about, like who is it that is going to stimulate more of that? Like when I think about the kind of life that I want to be living, are your thoughts and actions and words like all in alignment with that? This is a really good time for just like checking core values, checking your boundaries, making sure that you are clear about what it is you are and are not available for, and being willing to have those conversations if necessary, whether it comes from their end or from yours. But however it is that gets resolved, it is really about embracing empathy. Today at the same time, right, we've got a void of course moon, and which all that means is that the moon is kind of like in a wobbly state between signs, because it's trying to, right, it's transitioning from one sign to the next. So it was an Aries moon all day yesterday. As we get through the day, it's going to get right a little void of course. If you're where I am on the East Coast, the void of course moon is between, where is it, 4:01 and 6:42 p.m. So adjust that for wherever you are. But the void of course time frame, this is a time frame where emotions can get wonky, people can get overly sensitive, people can get overly reactive. And with it being a void of course moon in Aries and then moving into Taurus. So Taurus, in like pop astrology, is often categorized as like, or labeled as stubborn, or whatever, things like that, right? So you can see why maybe having this Mercury square Chiron moment at the same time that we've got a void of course moon from Aries to Taurus could turn out to be not so awesome, just because we've got like I don't know, opportunity for people to be like so stuck in their corner, right? Or like so committed to their perspective, so committed to like what they think is the truth, that they're like not willing to even like come to the table and have a conversation about it. They're not willing to be open-minded or empathetic. There could be potential for like a lot of like victim mode kind of bullshit. So just be aware, be self-aware, keep yourself in check. Okay. Think about what it is that's going on. And there's something that has just been really, and this is so like basic or whatever, but like, how much does this matter? Right? Like, is this thing that I'm upset about right now going to matter in a year or in 5 years, 6 months, even a month? No. Okay. Then maybe I don't need to give it so much of my energy and attention right now. Whether that's anger, frustration, anxiety, whatever. Now, that said, I do understand that being emotionally charged, like when you are in it, it is absolutely like there's no reasoning with that. This is why it's so important to me to have my yoga practice. This is why it's so important to me. Yeah, just to like, seriously, like my yoga practice is everything. I'm like a yoga evangelist. Y'all, I'm so excited. I have a zillion ideas for infusing the things that I know are coming in my yoga teacher training here, and maybe not here on Twitch or like here on my live stream, but like in my world, like with my clients. Like I have so many things that I like, my mind is just bursting with ideas and bursting with excitement, and I really can't wait. But yeah, yoga has become something that is just, like I think about it constantly, that like there were years and years in my life, in my business, whatever, that I thought that it was going to be just, this is such a piggyback off of yesterday's conversation with like the South Node in Virgo, North Node in Pisces, but like I really thought that the stress in my life would be eliminated if I could just plan better, if I could just be better organized, if I could just find the right system or strategy or whatever, then everything would be fine. And what ended up happening is like the more that I tried to do that, the more anxious I got, the more that I tried to like control how things worked, the more that I would be like completely thrown off if things deviated. Right. So it's like, if I in my head decided that my child has to be dropped off at the gate for her school at 8 o'clock in the morning, 8 a.m. on the dot, even though she has until 8:30, then I would like rush her. I would wake her up early. I would rush her. I would like, come on, let's go. Let's, right. Like just, and I don't like, that was totally inherited from my mother. And I just wasn't even like, I was not self-aware. I mean, and I was pretty self-aware, but like, I just was not, you can't see anything for what it is when you're in an emotionally heightened state, when you are constantly in a state of stress and fight or flight, and your cortisol is through the roof. You can't do anything. You can't make great decisions. You can't have healthy conversations. Like you are constantly just trying to do things to protect yourself, or to, just like protect yourself. Like that is just everything. All of your instincts are going to be, geared toward that. And so that puts you in a state of either victim mode or like being, right, you're either on the defensive or you're on the offensive. And none of that is going to like get you where you want to go. And so I think about this all the time. It's like the more that I tried to control things, like the more that I tried to systemize things, the more that I tried to like figure myself out or like whatever, the harder things got. And what the key really was for me, like what it was that just like unlocked everything, like your external circumstances don't have to change at all. It's like all about how you respond to it. And really what changed for me was yoga every day, which the North Node in Pisces of it all, right? More intuitive, more spiritual, allowing myself to connect to my breath, to block out responsibility and like just screens and like everything that like demands my attention and demands of me. I have that time at least once every day to block it all out and to go into that room. And I'm getting emotional about it. And, just connect to myself and be a person. And I find myself using these tools like unconsciously all the time. Like I was at EDC Orlando in November last year. And there was this moment that was really fucking scary, y'all. It was like crowd crushing situation. I was being like pushed. I was completely alone. I didn't have my whole group with me because I had gone to another area to watch a different set for a while. And then I was supposed to meet up with them over at another area. And it was just like the most intense thing. It was scary. And I just like instinctively like put my arms up like this. And I just started, I was hearing like one of my yoga teachers in my mind saying like, you're here, breathe. And it was just like, okay. And I, deep belly breath and just being able to like come back to a place of peace and like totally transparently, like this was Saturday, so I was probably on a full tab of acid and hadn't eaten in several hours. And so like I was physiologically, for a lot of other reasons, like in a state that could have sent me in a direction of like terror and reactivity. And that would have been dangerous for me. It would have been dangerous for the people around me. Right. But because I had those tools, because I literally moved my body and sweat it out and do things to release the cortisol from my body. I can think clearly, I can act clearly, and then I'm not in danger. The people around me are not in danger. Like, do you see it? It's everything. And so awareness of what's going on today is great. Having the awareness of Mercury squaring Chiron, having the awareness of the moon being void of course in Aries and heading into Taurus, right? Me knowing yesterday that the moon or that Mercury was squaring Chiron, like I was not remotely shocked or surprised when these like conversations came up. It's like, oh, I've got my umbrella with me because I got my weather report. Like I knew what was going to happen, or like I had an idea that this could happen. That's also something that I really want to emphasize here, is that just because something is here, right? Just because there's potential for it doesn't mean that it has to happen. There are clouds in the sky all the time. It doesn't mean it's always going to rain. Okay. So that is, and the rain can come in many forms. It can fucking sprinkle, right? It can be just a light mist. It can pour. It can all of a sudden be hailstorms. This is the same energy that I would like for you to kind of apply to our conversations here when we're talking about the transits. Is that it's not necessarily like set in stone that someone or that you are going to have a confrontational conversation with someone, or that some kind of conversation, something that needs to be resolved, is going to happen. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that it could, and having the awareness of that allows you to tap into your tools. It allows you to not be completely surprised by this, and it allows you to respond to your environment in a healthier, more responsible way, a way that makes you proud of yourself. Like, let's be real, none of us feel good about like losing our shit and like yelling at someone or saying something that we don't mean in a moment of frustration. None of us want to do that. So if we don't want to do that, isn't it nice to know that this, right? That this might, none of us want to get poured on. It would be nice to know if I need rain boots. It would be nice to know if I need a fucking poncho. Okay. Now, if you want to take this to the next level, for those of you who might be a little bit more astro savvy, I love this tool on astro.com. If you have an account, like you can store, all kinds of charts. And it will give you like a general, right? This will tell me like, oh, here's like a transit for me today. But this is the one that I like to look at because this will tell me more about what's going on for everyone and what's going on just in general. But if you pop open this little plus button here, this will show you the most recent times that this transit has occurred and, what time. And then there's also this one that it'll show you like the transit with your natal chart. So let's look at this one really quick. Okay. So this is just the Mercury square Chiron that happened this morning. Oh, that's so interesting. 5:45, because didn't I just say that was when I was having those conversations, right? Around 5:45 a.m. It was between 5:45 and like 7:15. All of the conversations that I had this morning that were like really intimate and really sensitive. Wait. Mercury is at 12 degrees Capricorn, and y'all, this is the fun stuff with natal chart. Let's pop this one open. So now we've got two. Right, so this is my chart. Hi, hello, it's me. And we've got Venus right here. We've got Mercury right here. Mercury's at 12 degrees. So of course, that's just a couple, like 2 degrees away from my Neptune. I always find it really interesting. I've got like a cluster of clients who all have Scorpio rising at like 17 degrees, like right around this place, or at 14, right? It's like between 14 and 17. I've got my Pluto here. And then it's a sextile to my sun in Capricorn. So just such interesting things that happen. But of course, people are going to feel like I'm a great person to talk to today. Why wouldn't they feel that way? I've got Mercury just like asking people to come have a conversation with me. Venus I know it was conjunct Saturn this week, right? So Saturn is at 20 degrees. Venus is at 6 degrees. Oh no, it will happen. Yeah. Oh no, it's conjunct my Saturn. Oh my goodness. I'm like, what is happening? Yes, no. So transiting Saturn is all the way over here, but Venus as it, wait, what am I looking at right now? This is December. I'm like, this doesn't make any goddamn sense. Okay. See, this is what I'm talking about. You need to like really, this is one of those things that when I work with clients, some people are like, I don't know what this means anyway, so why are you showing it to me? It's for things like this, because there have definitely been times where a client has entered in their like birth time wrong, or their birth date like backwards or something, because I'm a dumb American, and so we have to do everything like our own way. And so I'll put in like July 4th when they meant like April 7th, and so that's why I show the chart, because you never know when here we go. This is the one we want. Okay, here we go. So, right. So Venus was conjunct Saturn. That's so interesting though, that the last time that we had this. Okay, so this time that we had this, transiting Venus was conjunct transiting Saturn. So that means they were conjunct, like they were at the same place, right, in the system. This time, right? But 2 times ago, right, in the middle of December, transiting Venus was conjunct my natal Saturn. Okay. All right. Get the message. This is a big one for me. Okay, so let's go back. Right. Okay, so we've got transiting Mercury at 12 degrees Capricorn again, which is like right here. And then the sun at 7 degrees, which is right over my Mercury. So again, yeah, we've got Venus just moving into Pisces. So that's well into my 10th house at this point. And the moon, look at you, little baby, conjunct my Mars, right? So yeah, people are very social, 11th house. Okay. So this can give me some kind of an indication of like, all right, where might I be experiencing some of this energy right now? And that all, also again, just like gives me the opportunity to like reflect on how this might have affected me in the past, or like, I try to do this when I'm in, like when I have my journal that I've made for my clients. I've got like a daily Astro journal. It's a daily and monthly, right? So the monthly has all of the major transits, and then the daily has like the most like prominent transit of the day with like a little like journaling entry. And if it is one like this, right, as we move further through the year, it'll mention that. It'll say like, the last time that we had this, like, or what have you learned about this, whatever, since we experienced this the last time on January 11th. And so this is another one of the reasons that I really love tracking the transits over time, and not in a way that, now I get kind of like, I'm an astrologer, so I can't help myself, but like, you don't have to be predictive with it. It doesn't have to be something that you're like, okay, well, I know that, in March, I'm going to be experiencing something in the area of my relationships or whatever, because I have this going on or that going on. That's not necessarily what I recommend, even for the like astro newbie, or someone who's not here to like be an astrologer, but that you're here because you want to improve your life and you want things to be easier. You want to understand yourself better. You want to understand the world around you a little bit better. So rather than trying to like forecast into the future and trying to like predict the future, for the average person, I really just I would encourage you to use it as a reflection tool, right? So as a tool for like the stuff that we talk about here, and then like log it how you can. Now I can show you, right? Can't I? Hang on, let me stop the share for a second so that I can say hello. Hi. And then I want to pull up my Notion dashboard really quick, because what I want to do is show you what I'm talking about and how you might. Oh, that's not it. I hope that you're enjoying this. Y'all, I really thought that I was going to hate this. Like I had this intuitive voice for a long time telling me, hey, like you should live stream. Like you need to, and actually the voice wasn't even like start a live stream. Like the voice is like, you should have a TV show. Like you should have a TV network. This is something that has been in my mind since 2018. And it's one of those that has just not left me. Starting a television network sounds insane to me right now. It's just not something I can even remotely wrap my head around. This is step one. And I was really nervous that like I wasn't going to be able to like riff for 45 minutes or an hour. That's ridiculous. Of course I can. Of course I can talk about astrology literally all day long to no one but myself. So yeah, I think I can handle this. But I hope that you're enjoying this just as much as I am. So, all right. So this is a copy of my Astro planner. Like this is the one that you get when you're a client of mine and when you actually like buy the thing. And yeah, we'll look at this one at first, but like, so we've got the main one here, right? Which will tell you all of the like primary events that are happening, right? Like Venus entering Pisces. Last night, my daughter told me, she's like, did you know that there's going to be an eclipse this year? And I'm like, yes, it's on my calendar. And I pulled it up and I showed it to her, right? It was like, here's one. And then I showed her the one that is at the end of the year. But yeah, this is a super handy tool. And when you open it, it gives you all kinds of things to think about and journal on, but this is more what I was talking about, right? So this is a tool that, like I have been using like versions of this or recommending like different kind of strategies for this with my clients for a long time. But this is like, I just like said, fuck it, and built it this year. People love it. It is awesome. And you can, you know, add different things to it. Like some people have added like tarot card, like spreads, but here is what it looks like. Oh, shoot. Okay, here's what it looks like when you're actually like using it. And I'm transparently not using it as much as, you know, I could, but I've been doing this for a very long time. So I really, I just know myself. Like the other day, for example, I knew that it was a Pisces moon and I didn't even need to look. Like I said out loud, I posted about this on Facebook. I said out loud, like, man, I have absolutely no motivation today. And I said, oh, wait, like I cut my own self off and I said, oh, wait, is the moon in Pisces? I go, look, yes, it is. I closed my computer and I went to bed, like period, the end. But for those of you who may not know yourselves that well, right? Doing something like this, and whether you use mine or, you know, you write this down or, you know, you have a tracker for this. This is something that, you know, can help you to better understand what are your like on times, like what are your off times, like when should you maybe expect yourself to be a little more sensitive or a little more energized, or like not trying to talk to people or like trying to talk to everyone, right? These are the things that I track in here, right? So overall energy would be like how much like literal like productivity energy do you have, like how much energy do you have to like get up and go, get up and do. Then intimacy level, and I don't know, this could just be like my introverted self. Like there are some days where I have a lot of productivity energy, but way less like talking energy and like way less connection energy. It's just not something that I can do every day. And even here, like I think that this is probably easier for me when I'm talking about this at an informational level to just talk about it than to try to like stop every couple of seconds to answer questions. Whereas like and now that I'm able to do this and I have this like window to just talk about the astrology of it all here, I can use my time frames that I've blocked out for being with people for the intimacy, so that we don't waste our time and energy here and we can actually connect when I have the energy to connect. Because not always, but I have a lot more energy for this than I do for that. And there's nothing wrong with that. That is me being honest about myself. That doesn't, man, oh man, do I wish, like this is my version of optimizing. Okay. Like people want to push themselves. People want to like, you know, I don't know, like take B12 shots and fucking mushroom teas and all kinds of stuff. And listen, if something makes you like feel good, if it makes you feel good and it is a sustainable practice, by all means, go for it, right? But if something is just like, if you're just like trying to optimize yourself and, you know, like I think of like crypto Chad, you know, just like that kind of a dude. It's like, you just need to like go harder. It's like, no, like if I've got 30% to give today, I will go right 100% of that 30% and no fucking more. Like, that's what I have to give today. Like, listen to your body. Okay. And so this is a way for me to help people. And even this strategy, just like sharing this concept with you, is a strategy to help you to not optimize yourself, but to have more self-awareness and to plan around that, right? To plan around the patterns of your life, to plan around the patterns of your energy. If you know after, 5-6 months or, a year of observation that consistently when the moon is in Pisces, you just don't have it, then maybe just go block out that day in perpetuity. Like I block out a week every month so that people can't schedule on my client calendar. If I schedule some kind of event, like a group event in my mastermind, it's going to be one that feels like super easy for me to carry, and I'm not going to be like pushing myself, because that is being intuitive. That is like listening to yourself and respecting yourself and your energy, right? Okay, so because we're going to be taking a couple of days off, let's go look at the transits for Saturday and Sunday and just get a little peek ahead, so that we can come back Monday ready for Monday's snooze. Okay. Ooh, all right. So like we said, we've got Mercury squaring Chiron on its way out. This will be the last day. So when we go to tomorrow in a second, like this shouldn't be here anymore. Okay, we've got the sun squaring the nodes. So obviously you see squaring moon's node, squaring moon's node. So it's because, right, they're like on either side of the chart. So that means that the moon, if it's squaring one, of course it's squaring the other, right? So with moon squaring the nodes right now, you may be feeling over the weekend or even now, because this transit has started now, like you're maybe being pulled in like a tug of war sort of situation, right? Like you could go one way, you could go the other. We had a long conversation yesterday about North and South node. So if you want to re-listen to that, you can go to my Twitch stream, and when I'm done with this in a few minutes, and you can listen to the replay. If you find yourself like in a pattern of discomfort, if you find yourself like, oh man, I'm like way in my comfort zone, like I'm so like falling into like my old behaviors, my old patterns, like whatever, it's likely the nodes, right? And we want to lean, we don't want to like release the south node. That's not the concept. I'm not going to release the concept of like being organized or having structure in my life or like having a day-to-day routine. What I am going to do is allow myself to recognize that that's not the answer, that I have to lean forward into my intuition, into my Pisces North node. And that when I lean forward into the North node, that my South node will effectively support that. Now I don't have to figure out what the South node is. That's natural. Okay. So when you're feeling that, like, do I go this way? Do I go that way? Or like, am I like, oh, I'm so stuck in my shit again. Like, I'm so like, how did I get back here again? Forgiveness, grace, empathy for your own damn self. Okay. Don't allow your negative thoughts to control you. Okay. Your thoughts are not even real. It's such a trip when you get into like the existentialness of like your thoughts and your feelings not being real and not being who you are, and not even like they may not even be true, right? That it's all about the lens through which you're like looking at everything. And again, to go back to the concept of stress, if you are in a state of fight or flight, the way that you're looking at the world around you is not the same. Okay. It's not what's actually happening, right? Even if you go like, the reference that always pops in my head when I think about this is Mean Girls, right? So like, Katie, or not Regina, she's like, oh my God, I love your bracelet. Where did you get it? Or like, oh my God, I love your skirt. Where did you get it? And the person who's on the receiving end thinks to themselves like, oh my gosh, like she's noticing me, right? And then they walk away and she's like, oh, it's the ugliest effing thing I've ever seen, right? And she's just like making fun of them. So first of all, they are perceiving like a compliment from this person to be like genuine. And so that like brightened their day. They are perceiving the situation around them like through the lens that they are like their preconceived notion of what that is. Okay. If they ever were to find out, or like you get the call back to it later, right? Because it was like the movie started with Regina complimenting Katie's bracelet and saying, oh my God, I love your bracelet. Where did you get it? And her being like, oh, and that was like her first like kind of in with them. And then later she says the same thing, right? Oh my gosh, I love your skirt. Where did you get it? And then she turns to Katie after the girl leaves and says, oh, it was the ugliest effing skirt I've ever seen, right? And so then Katie has that reflection back to when she complimented her bracelet. She was like, oh shit, was that genuine? For the rest of that fictional character's life, probably, there's going to be a moment anytime that she gets a compliment that she's going to say to herself, is this real? Like, or she might even think to herself, like, oh, what a fucking bitch, right? How many times have you completely misread a situation because you're projecting a past experience onto it? That's what I'm talking about. Okay. Your thoughts and your feelings are not real. It is about having self-awareness constantly and asking yourself, am I seeing things for what they really are? Okay. When we got the sun trining Mars, ooh, this is super fun. This is like time to tackle a project. Mercury trine Uranus wants to get out there, wants to add their thoughts and their ideas to like groups of people who matter. So I could see this being like a really social weekend, really fun weekend for you to build some collaborations. I could see Saturday being like let's go out to eat and talk about like our big ideas kind of day. Okay. And we've got, yep, same stuff going on Sunday. And everything's still in Taurus as far as the moon goes, right? So yeah, this weekend should be like really expansive and motivating, and we should feel like we are just like gearing up for something big. Like we are getting ready to tap into a community, into a purpose, into something that is maybe bigger than ourselves, and allowing yourself to process that and whatever that means to you. Now, what I would, if you want to take this a step further, right, if you're a little astro savvy and you want to figure out, okay, so like I was saying with Mercury square Chiron, that I can see that this is, right, if we've got Mercury over here in Capricorn and Chiron over here in Aries, and that's the square, then it is coming, the arch is coming over my 9th and 10th houses, right? It's between my 8th and my 11th. Okay. So this is going to really be like a transition, like big changes within my community, my social life, my social world. And then it will likely also affect my, my career to an extent. Or even just like my reputation, whatever, like it could influence my career, it could influence my career direction, who knows? So, actually, it's the 25th, not when I like basically decided I was going to be doing my live stream. And then I did my first one yesterday, like my first real one yesterday, and I'm doing one today. Yeah, super fun. We love to see it. Okay. Well, I think that that's all I have for today, but let's do a little card before we go. Thank you so much for joining me today. This was a blast. Let me just go ahead. I'm going to pop open Twitch. Oh my gosh. Hi. Look at all of you in the chat. Hi. I'm like living. Thank you so much. I'm so happy that you're here. I'm going to come back and I'm going to read all this mindfulness 101 with Mean Girls. Like, thank you so much. I'm really happy that you enjoyed this and that you were here. Okay, so let's pull a card. I'm gonna like not, I like literally had no idea that y'all were here, but I'm so happy that you were. And this is, I have to fix my Twitch studio because usually it's like a whole thing and I can see your chat box right here. And it would just make it a lot easier if I could have that. So let's pull our card. We will say goodbye and then I will go figure out the Twitch studio so that we can have our regular live streaming experience on Monday. And who do we need to hear from today? Of course she is. She's so pretty. Venus says, who do you love? What do you care about? What are you attracted to? What makes the world beautiful to you? And what do you want to see more of? Embrace it. Embrace art. Embrace music. Embrace anything that makes life feel beautiful right now. It's the Venus and Pisces of it all. But yeah, that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me again, just like from the bottom of my heart. I'm loving this and I'm loving you. And I hope you have a great weekend and I'll see you on Monday. Bye.